Founders who feel like they have to save their business every single week. This one's for you. I'm Mark Scala, Amazon bestselling author and fractional CMO and COO. I help founders build systems at scale so that you can grow revenue, regain control, and get your life back. If that sounds like what you're chasing, give the video a like and hit follow. And if you're ready to talk about fixing your structure for real, hit the link in my bio and book a clarity call. So let's talk about something that kills more growing companies than competition ever could: the hero founder. Every business starts with one. It's the person who does everything, the one who carries the vision, fights through the chaos, and personally pulls the company forward. That's the founder most people celebrate, the relentless builder who never quits. But what most people don't realize is that the same heroism that builds the company eventually starts to destroy it. Because there comes a point where the business doesn't need a hero, it needs an architect. You can't scale heroism, you can only scale systems. The founder as a hero story feels noble, but it's actually exhausting. You're constantly jumping into problems, fixing things yourself, and earning praise for being the one who's always figuring it out. You tell yourself that being indispensable is a good thing, that your team relies on you because you're strong. But what's really happening is that you've built a company that can't win without you. And when you're the only one who can save the day, it's only a matter of time before the days start saving themselves by breaking you. The hero founder is addicted to being needed. It's how they validate their worth. Every fire they extinguish becomes another story that proves their value. Every late night reinforces the identity that they're the one holding it all together. Here's the truth. Being the hero feels good in the moment, and it quietly destroys you in the long run. Because the more you rescue your business, the weaker it becomes without you. The more you say, I'll just do it myself, the more your team learns that you always will. You become both the savior and the ceiling. Let's go back for a story. I worked with a founder who built a $5 million tech company that completely depended on his involvement. He was brilliant, one of the smartest, most dedicated people I've ever met. But he was also stuck in every conversation, every deal, and every crisis. He told me, I can't stop because if I do, all of this falls apart. And he was right, because his company had been trained to rely on him like he was oxygen. He didn't build a team, he built an audience. And they watched him work. They admired his effort, and they applauded his endurance. But no one actually learned how to operate without him. And that's the curse of the hero founder. If you don't realize the story you're writing for everyone else, they start to believe the business only works because of you. And when that becomes true, you're trapped. You can't rest, you can't scale, and you can't hand it off because your identity is welded to your involvement. And that's not leadership, that's more like martyrdom. Dressed up as dedication. There's a moment in every founder's journey where the cape has to come off, where the company's success can no longer depend on how hard you work, but how well you've built the company. That moment is where most founders break, because the hero inside them doesn't want to die. It wants one more rescue, one more turnaround, one more chance to prove it's still the reason that everything works. But until that identity dies, the business can't truly live, because scaling requires something the hero can't give: space. Space for other people to lead. Space for systems to start carrying the load. Space for you to step back without the whole thing collapsing. And that's where the next version of you, the architect, begins. And the architect doesn't rescue. They design. They don't jump into fires. They build the structure that prevents them. The shift from hero to architect is the single hardest evolution a founder will ever go through, because it's not just operational, it's personal. It's the death of who you had to be in order to survive. And for a lot of founders, that feels terrifying, but it's also freedom. So how do you actually let the hero die without losing everything that made you who you are? Well, you don't erase the hero, you just evolve it. because the qualities that made you great in the beginning, your grit, your creativity, your instinct, your obsession, are still your superpowers. They just have to be aimed differently. The founder's journey isn't about abandoning the hero. It's about promoting them. You move from the hero who saves to the architect who designs. From I'll fix it to I've built something that won't need fixing. From energy to engineering. And here's what that transformation looks like in practice. Step 1, redefine value. As a hero founder, your value came from action. You felt useful when you were busy, when you were putting out fires or closing deals or solving problems. But as an architect, your value comes from clarity. You create frameworks that outlive your effort. You measure success not by how much you do, but by how much gets done without you. You shift from output to outcomes. That's the momentum your leadership starts to scale. Step 2, replace instinct with infrastructure. The hero trusts instinct, the gut call, the quick fix, the magic touch. But instinct doesn't scale. Infrastructure does. Document what used to live only in your head. Turn the way you did things into a system that anyone can follow. It's not bureaucracy, it's liberation. It's what allows the business to run when you're not there to guide it. When you create infrastructure, you stop being the company's memory and start being its designer. And step 3, build a culture of ownership. The hero carries everyone. The architect teaches everyone to carry themselves. If you want to stop being the rescuer, you have to stop training people to need rescuing. And that means letting others make decisions, and sometimes mistakes. It means creating space for other leaders to emerge. Because if no one gets a chance to lead, you'll always be the only one capable of saving the day. And your goal is not to try to be the smartest person in the room anymore. Your goal is to be the calmest. Because calm leaders build scalable companies. When you stop chasing the next emergency, you finally start designing the next level. One of my clients, a founder who built a 20-person agency, told me something powerful. He said, "Mark, I realized I built this company to free my time, but I accidentally built a system that depends on it." So we spent 6 months or so shifting him out of hero mode. We did that by documenting every process. We created decision frameworks for his managers, and we implemented a rhythm of leadership meetings so decisions stopped bottlenecking around him. And by the end, his business was running cleaner than it ever was previously, and for the first time, he wasn't at the center of it. And he told me, "I thought stepping back would make me irrelevant, but it actually made me more effective." That right there, that's the death of the hero founder and the birth of the architect. You stop proving your value through exhaustion, and you start proving it through design. You stop measuring worth by how many problems you solve, and you measure it by how many never actually reach you. That's what mature leadership looks like. It's not about doing everything. It's about building something that works without you doing everything. And yeah, it feels strange at first. When the phone stops ringing, when the crises stop finding you, there's a moment where you ask yourself, am I still needed? And the answer is yes, just differently. You're needed for vision, for alignment, and for the next chapter, not for the daily rescue mission, because that's not your job anymore. That's the job of the systems you've built and the people you've developed. This is the exact transformation I talk about in my book, The Leverage Point. Because founders don't burn out from building. They burn out from believing they're the only one who can. The book walks you through how to move from heroic leadership to structural leadership, how to document, delegate, and design your way out of dependency. It's the roadmap for evolving from operator to architect. So here's the truth. The hero founder has to die for the company to live. But what rises from that death is not a loss. It's leverage. It's freedom. it's sustainability, it's leadership without martyrdom. Once again, I'm Mark Scala. I help founders build systems that scale so that you can grow revenue, regain control, and get your life back. If this message resonated with you, like the video. I'd love it if you followed. Share it with another founder who's still carrying the weight alone. And if you're ready to take off the cape and start designing the next version of your company, go grab your copy of The Leverage Point or book a clarity call using the link in my bio. Because true legacy doesn't come from saving the day. It comes from designing a business that no longer needs saving.